Ryan stood at the edge of the arena, his heart beating fast. He wore a simple tunic of soft leather and cloth. His hands were wrapped in cloth for grip. Around him, the loud cheers of Earth's crowd filled the air. They had come to see the ancient contest that only chose the strongest human to win a great honor. In the center of the arena, Princess Eliza sat on a carved wooden seat. Her dress was plain but bright, with tones of gold and green. She watched each competitor with calm eyes. The contest tested strength, skill, and kindness. In the past, champions proved themselves in 3 tasks. Today, it would be the same. The first task tested the mind. Ryan faced a puzzle of glowing stones. He studied the shapes and patterns. His fingers moved quickly. He placed each stone in its right place. When the final stone clicked, light shone. From the center, the crowd burst into applause. Ryan bowed his head in respect to Eliza and the king. Next, the second task tested strength. Ryan lifted a heavy wooden beam carved with ancient symbols. He carried the beam across the sandy floor. Dust rose around him. His muscles burned. He stumbled once, but he steadied himself. The crowd held its breath. When he set the beam down, gently at the finish line, many cheered. Ryan took a steady breath and looked toward Eliza. The final task tested kindness. Ryan saw a small injured animal on the edge of the arena. It was a bird with a broken wing. A voice told him he could finish the contest by harming the bird or by helping it. Ryan knelt beside it. He carefully wrapped his cloak around its wing. He carried it to a healer waiting at the side. Then he returned to the center and raised his arms. The crowd shouted his name. Eliza smiled as the judges declared him the champion. King Garrett rose from his throne. He wore a simple cloak lined with fur. His weathered face showed pride and relief. He spoke with a clear voice. By the ancient laws of our people, I offer the hand of my daughter, Princess Eliza, to the one who shows true heart, mind, and strength. Ryan felt his chest tighten with joy. He bowed deeply before the king and princess. Eliza stepped forward. She offered her hand and Ryan took it gently. The crowd erupted in celebration. Colorful banners fluttered in the breeze. Drums beat a steady rhythm. People laughed and cried with happiness. Far away, on the marble world of the Galactic Council, word of this contest reached the grand halls. The council chamber sat atop a tall white pillar. The sky there was pale blue, with 2 suns hanging low. Inside, elders of many worlds sat around a circular table of polished crystal. Elder Tronos, his skin pale silver and his eyes bright green, tapped his long fingers on the table. He frowned. A human has bested the trials of an alien king, he asked. His voice was soft but sharp. Around him, other elders exchanged glances. Elder Myra laughed, a sound like glass chimes. Humans are reckless and simple, she said. They claim to be brave, but their trials on Earth prove only that they obey weak rules. They cannot match true power. She leaned back in her chair and folded her delicate arms. Elder Zarek, who had scales of dark blue and yellow eyes, nodded. This contest means little. Humans rely on emotion. They lack true discipline. I doubt they can lead a starship or stand in the face of real danger. He tapped his claw on the crystal table, making a ringing note. Across the table, Elder Vivian, whose wings glowed faintly, shrugged. Let them have their honor on Earth. It will not change the balance of power. The council will turn its attention to more critical matters. Why waste time on a human hero? Their voices echoed in the high chamber. None saw the small parchment that a silent aide had brought into the room. It showed images of Ryan lifting the beam, of him tending to the bird, and of him standing beside Princess Eliza as the king smiled. But no one spoke of those images. They chose to mock instead. Back on Earth, the celebration continued late into the night. Lanterns hung from wooden posts. Tables of food and wine stood under open pavilions. Musicians played soft tunes on flutes and drums. Ryan and Eliza sat side by side on a raised platform. Eliza rested her hand on Ryan's arm, and he felt warmth spread through him. He glanced at Eliza, whose eyes reflected the flickering lantern light. She leaned toward him and whispered, "You earned this honor. Our people will remember you." Ryan smiled but did not speak. Inside, he felt a quiet hope and a small worry. He wondered what lay beyond Earth's skies and what the Council's words would mean for him and Eliza. The night air was cool and gentle. The stars began to show in the dark sky above. Ryan stood and raised his cup toward the crowd. "Thank you, friends," he said simply. "This honor is not mine alone. It belongs to all who believe in kindness and courage." The crowd cheered again. In the shadows beyond the celebration, a messenger from the council prepared for a long journey. He would carry word of this contest and its unlikely champion. And the council's doubts and laughter would follow. Ryan watched the stars, unaware of the doubts that floated among alien elders. In his heart, he held a promise to prove that humans could be more than simple rules and weak emotions. He would show them courage and strength beyond their mocking words. And so, the first part of this tale ended under the pale glow of Earth's moons. A hero had won a princess's hand. A council had heard the tale and chosen to mock. The future remained unknown, but Ryan's resolve burned bright. This was only the beginning. Catherine stepped out of the sleek starship onto the broad marble landing platform. The air smelled of fresh pine as she felt Earth's wind brush against her face. She wore a simple tunic that fit her slender frame. Her hair was tied back in a neat braid. She held a datapad tightly against her chest. As she walked toward the palace gates, she watched the decorations. Bright banners waved in the breeze. Lanterns hung from posts and tables of food and drink lined the paths. Families laughed. Musicians played cheerful tunes. It was the marriage celebration of Princess Eliza and the human champion. Catherine hid her smile as she scanned the scene. The humans seemed happy and proud. She tapped her comlink and spoke softly. "Council, this is Envoy Catherine. I have arrived at the celebration site. The humans are entertaining." She laughed quietly. A voice crackled back. "Report." "On their customs," it said. "It was Elder Tranos," Catherine began. "They greet each other with warm words and gentle bows. They share bread and wine and speak of family and hopes. They dance in lines to small drums. They wear simple clothes with bright colors. It is quaint." She watched Ryan and Eliza appear on a raised platform. Ryan looked handsome in his tunic of blue and silver. Eliza wore a flowing dress of green and gold. They walked together, holding hands. The crowd cheered. Catherine snorted. They clap their hands and shout. They throw small petals into the air. She tapped a button on her datapad, and it recorded images of petals falling like soft rain. She moved closer to observe the rituals. Humans brought gifts to the couple: flowers, woven cloths, carved wooden figures. They kissed the couple on the cheeks and offered blessings. The couple accepted each gift with a bow and a smile. Catherine's thoughts raced. They praised simple things. They spoke of love and trust. She shook her head. She tapped the record and muttered, "They act as if tokens of cloth and wood have grand value. They lack real wealth." She tapped back to the council. "Their gifts show little true meaning." Meanwhile, inside the palace, Princess Eliza withdrew to a private chamber filled with soft light. Walls were painted with scenes of mountains and rivers. She sat near an open window. Outside, she could see the guests celebrating. Eliza held a small flower in her hand. It was white with pink edges. She breathed in its scent. She felt happy to be here with Ryan, but she also felt a hint of worry. She loved Ryan's kindness, but she remembered the council's mocking words. A soft touch on her arm made her turn. It was Lady Maris, her trusted friend. Maris had dark hair and kind eyes. She wore a bright sash over her simple gown. "Eliza," Maris said, "you look troubled." Eliza sighed. "I think of the council. They think humans are weak and crude. They laugh at my choice." Maris placed her hand over Eliza's. "Your heart knows the truth. Ryan is brave and just. You saw him stand in the contest and care for that bird." Eliza's eyes glowed. "Yes, and I feel safe with him," she smiled. "I wish the council could see beyond their pride." Maris nodded. "Let them joke. They will learn in time." Eliza stood and smoothed her dress. I will. Go to the balcony. Perhaps I can speak to the council's envoy. Outside, Catherine watched the crowd. She saw Eliza's gait and her grace. Catherine felt respect for the princess. She crossed her arms and thought, the princess defends that human? How sentimental. Eliza approached Catherine with a gentle smile. Catherine stiffened. We have not formally met, Eliza said in a soft voice. I am Princess Eliza. You are the envoy of the Galactic Council. Catherine bowed politely. Yes, Your Highness. I am Envoy Catherine. I observe and report. Eliza gestured to the celebration. This day is ours to celebrate. I hope you enjoy our customs. Catherine smiled thinly. I find them charming. She paused. But I question their value. Your guests seem to find joy in simple rituals. Eliza's eyes narrowed a little. She raised her chin. They find joy in kindness, in sharing, in unity. To me, that value is great. Catherine tilted her head. You speak of human emotions. They cloud judgment and waste time. Eliza's expression grew firm. Emotions bind us to each other. They inspire us to do great things. Without empathy, what are we? Catherine suppressed a sigh. She pressed a button on her datapad. Your Highness, forgive me. I speak only for the council. They see humans as primitive. Eliza turned away from Catherine and looked at Ryan, who was greeting other guests. She thought of the hero who had risked his life for a small creature. She thought of his kind words and his steady heart. Stepping closer to Catherine, Eliza said, You may think humans are simple, but I know my people and their strengths. I will speak to the council on their behalf. Catherine nodded slowly. She wrote a note on her datapad. Eliza defends human. Strong sentiment. She looked at the princess and smiled slightly. I will report that, Your Highness. Eliza turned back to the festivities. She called to Ryan. He came to her side and bowed. She took his hand. Ryan asked quietly, How goes your talk with the envoy? Eliza smiled softly. She doubts us. But I spoke of your courage and your kindness. Ryan's eyes lit up. Then she will see the truth. He squeezed her hand. Eliza shook her head. Perhaps. But we face the council's pride and prideful words. Ryan nodded. I will prove our worth, my princes. In time they will see. Catherine stepped back and watched them. She thought of writing. Humans claim courage. Yet they bow to emotion. She tapped her datapad and prepared to send her report to the council. That night, the celebrations continued beneath stars. Songs rose into the cool air. Laughter echoed through the halls. Ryan and Eliza danced with their friends. Catherine watched. From the palace balcony, her datapad ready. In her mind, she pictured the council chamber and the elders' cold eyes. She wondered if Eliza's words could sway them. Yet she felt a small doubt stirring inside her. The human simple joy, their kindness, she realized it had power. Before leaving, she recorded one final note. The human hero and the princess share a bond of respect and warmth. Their loyalty is clear. The council must decide if sentiment can equal strength. With that, Envoy Catherine prepared to depart the next day. She would return to the marble halls and share her findings. She did not know how the council would react, but she hoped her report would give them pause. And so the second part of this story closed on the quiet note of a report that might change the council's view. The humans celebrated with light hearts, unaware of the doubts and judgments that lay ahead. Yet they held their hope in each other's hands, ready for the challenges to come. The report arrived at the council chamber in the early morning sun. Envoy Catherine stood before the elders and held her datapad. She spoke clearly. A rogue fleet has appeared near the Andari border. They attack small colonies and take ships. By force! The chamber was silent except for the hum of the air filters. Elder Tranos leaned forward. His silver skin caught the light. How many vessels? He asked. Catherine scrolled through her notes. At least 30 warships, each armed with heavy plasma cannons. They move fast and strike without warning. The Andari worlds suffer losses every day. Elder Myra tapped her slender fingers on the crystal table. Rogue fleets are common. Without proper command, they fall apart. We will send a message to our fleet patrol. Elder Zarek shook his scaled head. We should not act too hastily. Perhaps these attacks are part of a rebellious colony. They will tire soon, he looked at Tronos. Let us debate this over the next cycle, Tronos sighed. The Andari request aid. Their border guards cannot hold. We have a duty to protect our allies. Myra laughed softly. Duty? We help when it benefits the Council. Do we gain from a small border world? Tronos met her gaze. Our reputation stands on our willingness to act. If we ignore this, other worlds may doubt us. Zarek nodded slowly. I agree with Tronos, but we must study the threat. We cannot waste resources on a fearsome fleet that may vanish. Catherine watched their discussion and felt a chill. The Council's pride weighed more than the Andari's pleas. She tapped her. Datapad, your honors, humans volunteer to help. Champion Ryan has offered to lead an expedition of Earth volunteers. Myra and Zarek stared. Myra rolled her eyes. Humans? They cannot even fly a shuttle without constant guidance. Why involve them? Zarek's yellow eyes narrowed. This is a test. If humans fail, we lose nothing. If they succeed, we gain minimal help. I see no harm. Tronos shook his head. We choose only experienced captains for this mission. Not a chance for a human volunteer? Catherine spoke up. Captain Ryan has led Earth Space Guard. He trained on advanced simulators and served on small trade ships. He understands starship systems and tactics, Myra smiled. Experienced? Those simulators can barely mimic real stress. He is a farmer from Earth, not a hardened soldier. The Council laughed, soft and mocking. Zarek clicked his claw. Let the human try. He expects to prove himself. We shall see how far he goes. Myra leaned back. Fine, approve a scouting expedition. Give him a small shuttle and a skeleton crew. If he returns with useful data, we can consider more. Tronos frowned but nodded. Very well. We grant a shuttle for reconnaissance only. No combat. They must avoid direct engagement. Catherine bowed her head. I will deliver your decision. She deactivated her datapad and left the chamber. The elders returned to their debates, satisfied they had shown mercy. On Earth, Ryan stood on the lawn outside the palace. Princess Eliza joined him, wrapped in a light cloak. The air was crisp, and the sky showed distant stars. He looked at Eliza with concern. My princess, I heard of the rogue fleet. They hurt innocent people. Eliza's eyes filled with worry. I know, the Andari request help. The Council will meet to decide. Ryan's jaw set. I will help. Send me on an expedition. Let me gather information and warn them of the danger. Eliza placed her hand on his arm. Are you sure? It is dangerous. The rogues fire without mercy. Ryan nodded. I won a contest for my heart and mind. I faced fear and chose to show kindness. Now I face a fleet. I must try. She smiled gently. Your courage makes me proud. She kissed his cheek. I will ask the Council to give you a chance. They walked into the palace and entered the grand hall. Elder Tronos and the envoy waited. Catherine bowed to them, and to Eliza Tronos addressed Ryan. You wish to lead a reconnaissance mission against the rogue fleet? Ryan bowed respectfully. Yes, Elder. Tronos. I know starships and tactics. I will bring back accurate intelligence. Myra crossed her arms. We doubt your skill. But we allow one shuttle and a crew of 2. No combat. Scout only. Ryan's heart sank, but he held his voice steady. I accept these conditions. I will return with what you need. Zarek leaned forward. Your crew will include 2 Andari officers. They will command the shuttle. You will observe and record. Ryan looked at Eliza. She gave a small nod. He turned to the elders. Thank you for this chance. I will not fail. Myra whispered to Tronos. Let's see how long his pride lasts. Eliza stepped forward. May the stars guide you, my champion. Ryan bowed and left with Catherine and 2 Andari officers. They walked onto the landing platform where a small shuttle waited. The shuttle was sleek and white, with Andari symbols painted on its wings. Ryan examined the bridge. It had 2 seats, for the Andari officers and 1 for him. The controls were complex. He remembered his training and sat behind the main console. Catherine handed him a datapad and said, "I will fly the shuttle. You handle the sensors and defense systems." He nodded. "Understood." The Andari officers took their seats. Their scales were pale green, and their eyes were calm. They introduced themselves, Liren and Yara. Liren was chief navigator. Yara was chief sensor officer. They nodded to Ryan. The engines hummed, and the shuttle lifted. The ground fell away. Earth's blue curve glowed beneath them. Stars stretched before them. Inside the shuttle, Ryan felt excitement and fear. He looked at Catherine and the Andari officers. They watched the screens. Liren pointed at a map. "The rogue fleet is here, near the Andari border moons." He tapped a glowing dot. "We will approach at maximum speed but remain cloaked." Yara adjusted. "The sensor array. We detect no distress signals yet, but we must scan for plasma signatures. They fire quickly." Ryan set his datapad to record. "Understood. I will monitor systems and log data." The shuttle curved through space, finding a quiet path past small asteroids. Ryan checked the weapon systems panel. It was set to passive. He thought of Eliza and whispered, "Keep me safe." The shuttle crept closer to the rogue fleet's location. On the sensors, dozens of dots glowed red. Massive warships drifted near. A small moon. Drones flitted around them. Ryan held his breath. Suddenly, Yara spoke. "They have detected our cloaked field. They fire plasma darts at our location." Alarms blinked. Ryan tapped the shield's button. A faint blue glow surrounded the shuttle. The darts hit but bounced away. Catherine swerved the shuttle. "Shields up at 80%. She called. Ryan worked the sensor controls and found a blind spot behind an asteroid belt. "Lie low behind those rocks. We can scan them safely." Liren nodded and flew toward the belt. Plasma darts zipped past them and exploded on the rocks. Ryan recorded the data. He found each cannon's firing pattern and power level. Hours passed as they scanned. They moved from vantage point to vantage point. Each time they gathered more information: ship sizes, drone numbers, shield strength. Once, a small cruiser broke formation and fired directly. The shields hummed and held. Ryan felt his heart pound but smiled at the data. Finally, Yara said, "We have enough. We must retreat before they close distance." Ryan nodded. "Agreed. Plot return course." Catherine punched the course into the nav system. The shuttle slipped back toward Earth. The rogue fleet's engines flared behind them, sending plasma bolts in their direction, but the shuttle was fast. They cloaked again and slipped through their detection. On the return trip, Ryan compiled the intel and prepared his report. He thought of the Andari worlds that might be saved. He thought of Eliza waiting for him. He felt hope and relief. When the shuttle slipped into Earth orbit and landed on the palace platform, a crowd gathered. Eliza, Maris, and the council stood. There, Ryan stepped out, dusty but smiling. The Andari officers nodded in respect. Catherine deactivated her datapad and bowed. Tranos met Ryan's eye. "Report." Ryan held his datapad high. "I have detailed data on ship numbers, weapon power, shield frequencies, and drone tactics. With this knowledge, your fleet can strike precisely and protect the Andari worlds." The council elders looked at each other. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Tranos said, "Let us review the data." He took the datapad and studied it closely. Myra pursed her lips. "This is thorough." "It will guide our strike fleet?" Zarek frowned. The human performed well. Eliza smiled and stepped close to Ryan. "You did it, my champion." Ryan bowed his head. "I did my best for you and for our allies." Catherine watched the council's faces. She saw surprise and respect. She pressed her lip between her fingers and thought, "The human has proven more than we expected." And so, Part 3 ended with surprise in the council's eyes and hopeful pride in a human hero's heart. Ryan stood at the entrance of the starship, his boots echoing on the metal floor. Lily, his closest crew member, adjusted the settings on the sensor array. She wore a green flight suit with the simple Earth emblem on her shoulder. The other crew member, Jonas, checked the engine core. The shuttle had been refitted for deep space travel. It carried extra shielding and quiet engines for stealth. Ryan took a steady breath and looked out the viewport. The stars stretched before him, distant and cold. He thought of Princess Eliza and her warm smile. He thought of the Andari worlds that needed help. He turned to Lily and Jonas. "All systems ready?" he asked. Lily nodded, her short brown hair bouncing. "Sensors online? Heat signatures around the target area, all green." Jonas gave a thumbs up. "Engines at full stealth power. We can slip past enemy patrols." Ryan pressed a button. The engines hummed softly. The shuttle lifted off, gliding away from Earth's bright lights. It warmed as it passed the atmosphere and then drifted into the vacuum of space. They plotted a course near the border moons where the rogue fleet gathered. Lily tapped on her holoscreen. "I see the fleet ahead, 32 ships in tight formation. Plasma cannons active." Ryan studied the display. "We keep our distance. Scan their shield patterns and weapon ranges." As they approached, Lily adjusted the sensor lenses. The display flickered with data points. Ryan noted each ship's signature and took careful readings. Jonas monitored engine output, ensuring they stayed hidden. Suddenly, Lily gasped. "Ryan, 2 fighters are breaking off formation. They head right for us." Ryan's heart pounded. "Lily, raise shields to 50%. Jonas, prepare. Evasive boost." The fighters glowed with their plasma thrusters. They fired darts that zipped toward the shuttle. Ryan guided the spike-shaped blasts away with momentary shields. Sparks flared on the hull plating but held firm. Jonas hit the boost. The shuttle lurched forward and twisted away from the fighters. Lily recalibrated the sensors. "We can hide behind that debris field." She pointed to floating chunks of rock and metal. Ryan steered toward the field. The fighters chased but lost sight in the maze of debris. Ryan exhaled. "Good work. Now we gather more data." He returned to the main console and logged the fighters' weapon power and firing speed. Lily recorded the shield frequency and hull strength. Jonas double-checked the logs. After 20 minutes, Lily said, "We have enough on the fighter squadron. Let's move to the cruiser lineup." They slipped through another gap in the debris. The cruisers loomed above them, massive and dark. Energy glows pulsed along their sides. Lily's eyes widened. "These cruisers are larger than I expected." "Weapon power is off the charts," Ryan nodded. "Note their shield modulation rate." "Then we draw back." He brought the shuttle closer. Lily scanned the shield pulse patterns. Jonas monitored their own shield stress. Ryan felt the heat of tension in his chest. Every second counted. Suddenly the cruiser's sensors pinged. Red lights flashed on the shuttle's console. Jonas shouted, "They locked onto us. They aim plasma cannons." Ryan slammed his hand on the shield lever. Blue energy flared around the shuttle. The cannon's bright beams hurled toward them. The shields shimmered and absorbed the blasts. Jonas yanked the joystick. The shuttle shot downward, weaving through the cruiser's legs. Sparks flew as near misses rocked the hull. Lily gripped her station. "Shields at 30%. We can't hold this long." Ryan's mind raced. He thought of Eliza, of Earth, of the Andari worlds. He refused to fail. He tapped the sensor console again. "I have an idea. We use their shield frequency to create a ghost pulse. It might confuse their targeting." Lily's eyes lit up. "We can send a jamming pulse at their frequency. It could mask our signature." Ryan nodded. "Do it." Lily worked quickly. She adjusted the transmitter to match the cruiser's shield modulator. A low hum filled the compartment. The shuttle rattled. The red lock lights on the console flickered and faded. Jonas cheered. "They lost us." Ryan guided the shuttle backward and upward. They slipped away from the cruisers and into a nearby asteroid's shadow. The engines whispered as they coasted to silence. Lily sank into her seat. "That was close." Jonas patted her shoulder. "Good thinking, Lily," Ryan exhaled. "You saved us. Your quick mind and skill make humans strong." Lily blushed at his praise. She tapped her pad. "All data recorded. Shield frequencies, weapon power, hull resistances." Ryan smiled. "You are a hero, Lily." She shook her head. "We did this together." The shuttle drifted for a moment. Then Ryan said, "Let's return, we have all we need." They set a course for Earth. On the journey home, they reviewed the logs. Each entry was precise. They noted the cruiser's slow shield recharge and high weapon recoil. They found weak points in the drone's targeting algorithms. They recorded everything. Jonas leaned back. "We've got enough to plan an attack." Lily glanced at Ryan. "Think the council will take us seriously now?" Ryan placed a hand on her console. "They cannot ignore these facts. We will prove their mocking wrong." As the shuttle entered Earth orbit, the planet's blue glow filled the viewport. Ryan's heart swelled. He thought of Eliza waiting on the platform below. When they landed, a small crowd gathered. Eliza and Catherine stood among them. Eliza ran forward and hugged Ryan. Tears glittered in her eyes. He hugged her back. "We did it. We have what the council needs." Catherine approached with a tablet. "Your report is complete. Shall I transmit?" Ryan nodded. "Yes." She tapped the screen. Data streams flickered and sent into the void. Ryan watched until the last light faded. Later in the council chamber, the elders reviewed the new intelligence. Elder Tronos studied the diagrams. Myra stared in surprise. Zarek frowned in thought. For the first time, they saw clear proof. Human resourcefulness had captured the fleet's weaknesses. Lily's quick plan had saved the crew. The data would guide the strike force, but the council remained silent. They thought of their pride and the cost of admitting they had misjudged humans. Yet deep inside, a seed of respect had taken root, and so Part 4 closed on the quiet moment before recognition. A crew of humans had risked all and gathered crucial truth. The council's doubts would be tested next. The council chamber glowed with soft white light. Elder Tronos reviewed the fresh data and faintly nodded. "We will strike," he said, "but only in a limited way. We cannot commit our full fleet." The other elders murmured in agreement. Elder Zarek leaned back. "Let the humans lead a token force. They have gathered intelligence. It will test their courage and our caution." Elder Myra snapped her slender fingers. "Prepare a small assault fleet. 2 cruisers, 3 fighters, and 1 support. Ship the human Ryan shall command." She gave a sharp look. "Underfunded, but enough." The council laughed softly at the thought. Catherine bowed. "I will inform Champion Ryan." She deactivated her datapad and left the chamber. On Earth, Ryan and Eliza stood in the palace garden. The early sun painted the sky pink. Eliza held Ryan's hand. Catherine approached and bowed. "Elder Tronos has approved a strike fleet. It will be limited." Her face was serious. Ryan's heart tightened. "Only a small fleet?" he asked. Catherine nodded. 2 cruisers, 3 fighters, and 1 support ship. "You command this mission." She hesitated. "I am sorry it is so small." Ryan looked at Eliza. Her eyes shone with pride and concern. He stepped forward. "I accept. With this force we will use careful tactics and surprise. We will show our worth." Eliza squeezed his hand. "I believe in you." That evening, outside the palace gates, the token strike fleet lay ready. 2 sleek cruisers with Andari symbols stood side by side. 3 fighters hovered nearby like predators. The support ship glowed with repair drones on its deck. Ryan wore a simple uniform of dark blue. Lily and Jonas stood by his side, their faces determined. Captain Avery, an Andari with pale scales, approached. "Champion Ryan, I command the cruiser." "Andari Guardian, we await your orders." His voice was calm and respectful. Ryan bowed. "Captain Avery, we must use cunning. Our goal is the rogue fleet's command ship. If we disable it, the rest will scatter." He pointed to a holomap on the support ship's deck. It showed the rogue fleet's position near a small moon. Jonas tapped his wrist. "All craft are fueled and ready. Shield generators are at maximum. Fighters are armed with light plasma missiles." Lily studied the map. "The command ship sits at the center, surrounded by escorts. We can use a small strike team to penetrate their defense. The cruisers provide covering fire." Ryan nodded. "We will approach under stealth, then split into 2 groups. The fighters and support ship will draw their attention. Lily and I lead the boarding team on the Andari Guardian. We breach their hull and plant an EMP charge. Captain Avery asked. And the other cruiser? Ryan tapped the holomap. Cruiser 2 will circle to the rear and block escape. Jonas will guide them. We attack swiftly, then retreat. Avery agreed. Understood. Let us begin. The fleet jumped to sublight speed and slipped near the rogue moons. Ryan watched the monitors as enemy warships came into view. They looked formidable dark hulls etched with battle scars. Lily adjusted the targeting system. All systems green. We are cloaked until we reach the perimeter. The support ship, named Unity, hovered behind the fighters. Jonas sent coordinates to the second cruiser, Restoration. Ryan tapped his comm. Proceed according to plan. Launch fighters in T-10 seconds. The fighters shot out like silver arrows. Their plasma missiles glowed bright as they streaked toward the enemy fleet. Moments later, Unity activated its drones, sending small repair bots behind the fighters' wings. The rogue ships spun their guns toward the fighters. Plasma bolts flared in the void. The fighters dodged and fired back, drawing the enemy's focus. Ryan felt his breath quicken. Now, he said, and nodded to Lily. Andari Guardian activated its stealth drive. It and Restoration moved silently toward the command ship's location. Behind the fighters' cover, the cruisers drew close. Ryan braced as the Andari Guardians. Hull shivered with tension. He gripped the railing. Lily spoke softly. We have a clear shot at their shields. When I give the order, fire the disruptors. Ryan set his jaw. On your mark. Lily's fingers tapped the console. Mark. The Andari Guardians' disruptors hummed and fired. Bright pulses struck the command ship's shield. The shield flickered and collapsed for a heartbeat. Jonas released the coordinates to the boarding tubes. Ryan led Lily and a small team down the narrow corridor to the airlock. They wore light armor and carried EMP charges in their packs. Ryan's heart pounded. They entered the airlock, and Lily sealed the door. The chamber drained air. The view screen showed them next to the rogue command ship's hull. Ryan said, attach the plates and overload their systems. Lily affixed the MP plates. She inserted the energy core. A soft beep rose as it charged. Ryan watched the timer, outside. Restoration and Unity held back the escorts. Fighters continued to harass the fleet. The timer counted down. 3.2.1. Lily pressed the trigger. The charge ignited with a blue flash. Energy waves pulsed outward, striking the command ship's systems. On the monitors, Ryan saw the ship's lights flicker and die. The vessel drifted motionless. Enemy ships around it halted in confusion. Ryan's team returned to the tube. They flashed to the Andari Guardian as alarms blared on the command ship's bridge. Avery's voice crackled through the comm. Target disabled. Return now, Ryan responded. We are en route. The stealth drive activated and the Andari Guardian slipped away. Restoration backed up and fired warning shots to hold off enemy escorts. The fighters in Unity rejoined them. The rogue fleet shook as their command ship lay dead in space. Without leadership, their formation broke. Ships scattered and fled into darkness. Ryan exhaled with relief. We did it. Lily smiled through her helmet's visor. Good work, everyone. Jonas clasped Ryan's shoulder. You led well? They returned to Earth as heroes. Word spread across many worlds. Races marveled at the audacity of humans leading a strike with few resources. In the grand hall of the palace, the council convened. Elder Tranos stood first. You have exceeded our expectations, Champion Ryan. He paused. Your tactics and courage saved the Andari worlds, Elder Myra nodded. Your small force did what our full fleet might struggle to do. Elder Zarek added, your resourcefulness is impressive. Ryan bowed. I acted for my people and our allies. Eliza stepped forward. I always believed in him. The council elders exchanged glances. Pride softened their expressions. They knew they must admit their earlier jeers were wrong. That evening, celebrations erupted. Messages of human heroism echoed on star networks. The audacity of leading an underfunded mission became legend. Songs were sung of Ryan's courage and Lily's quick thinking. On Earth, Ryan and Eliza walked beneath a sky streaked with purple and gold. They held hands as lanterns floated upward. He looked at her and smiled. We showed them what humans can do. Eliza leaned on his arm. You gave hope to many worlds. Ryan gazed at the stars. Our story is just beginning. And so part 5 closed with victory and growing respect for human audacity. Even the harshest critics could not deny the courage of a small force led by a determined human hero. The grand hall of the Galactic Council gleamed with pale marble and high ceilings. Elder Tronos stood at the center, his silver skin shining. Before him lay the final report from Champion Ryan's mission. The elders gathered, their expressions unreadable. Elder Myra folded her slender arms and sighed. The human not only scouted the rogue fleet but led a successful strike. We cannot deny their skill. She looked around the chamber. Elder Zarek's yellow eyes blinked slowly. Pride is hard to swallow, but the facts stand. Humans showed courage and resourcefulness. He tapped his claw on the crystal table. Tronos nodded. Then we must admit our error. We mocked the human champion. We saw weak emotion instead of true strength. We judged too soon. He bowed his head. A hushed silence filled the chamber. The other elders shifted uncomfortably. None spoke. Tronos raised his voice. I propose. We honor Champion Ryan and Princess Eliza. Let us attend King Garrett's royal gala and offer our apologies in person. He looked at each elder. Myra cleared her throat. Very well. We shall show humility. Let it be known that the council respects humans. Zarek extended his clawed hand. Council members, we travel to Earth. The elders bowed in agreement. The decision was made. Meanwhile, on Earth, King Garrett stood on the steps of his palace, overlooking a grand courtyard filled with guests. Torches lit the dusk sky. Banners of Earth and Galactic Council flew side by side. Musicians played soft harps and flutes, blending cultures. Princess Eliza, dressed in a gown of deep blue trimmed with silver, waited by Ryan's side. Ryan wore a simple tunic of white and navy. His boots shone under the torchlight. They held hands. Eliza smiled at the crowd. Tonight we celebrate unity across the stars. Ryan nodded, and we forgive folly with open hearts. At that moment the marble steps filled with the council elders. Tronos led the way, dressed in a flowing robe of pale blue. Myra and Zarek followed. They paused at the bottom of the steps. Tronos raised his voice so all could hear. King Garrett, Princess Eliza, and Champion Ryan, we come in humility. We judged humans by our own pride and doubt. Today, we recognize their courage and honor. Garrett stepped forward, his fur-lined cloak sweeping behind him. We welcome the Council's change of heart. Earth stands united with the galaxy. Myra bowed her head. Champion Ryan, I offer my sincere apology. I mocked human strength. You have proven us wrong. She held out a small crystal emblem. Ryan accepted it with a polite bow. Thank you, Elder Myra. I bear no ill will. Let us move forward as allies. Zarek approached next. Champion, your tactics and bravery saved countless lives. I offer my respect and this token of our esteem. He handed Ryan a carved pendant of the council symbol. Ryan smiled and placed the pendant around his neck. I am honored. Tronos then turned to Eliza. Princess, your faith in humanity was steadfast. You spoke true. I offer my apologies for doubting your choice. He bowed deeply. Eliza returned the gesture. Thank you. May we learn from each other's strengths? The crowd cheered. Torches blazed brighter. Music swelled. The leaders formed a circle on the marble floor. King Garrett raised his goblet. To humans, to the council, and to unity between our peoples. The elders raised their goblets. To unity, they echoed. As the feast began, ambassadors from many worlds greeted humans with warmth. Dishes from distant planets mingled with Earth's roasted meats and fruits. Laughter and music filled the air. Ryan found Lily and Jonas among the guests. Lily wore a simple gown of green. Jonas wore a suit with a subtle Earth emblem. Lily grinned. We made history tonight. Jonas nodded. They respect us now. Ryan smiled. It was a team effort. We showed the best of humanity. Eliza joined them. You all did so much. You made me proud. Ryan turned to the sky, where stars shone against the dark canvas. He felt hope for the future. He thought of the Journey from doubt to respect. He realized that pride and prejudice can fade when hearts open, later. As the gala wound down, Ryan and Eliza stood on a balcony overlooking the city lights. Eliza leaned against the railing. Ryan placed an arm around her shoulders. We earned respect. But more importantly, we built friendships. Eliza rested her head on his shoulder. Yes, we proved that kindness, courage, and unity can change minds. Across worlds, Ryan kissed her forehead. Our story is a light for the galaxy. They watched the final fireworks burst in brilliant colors. Human faces turned upward with wonder. Alien visitors pointed and smiled, and so the final part of the tale ended with a promise of peace. The council's timid mockery had given way to admiration. A human hero and his princess stood honored among the stars. Their journey showed that true strength lies in open hearts, and that even the harshest critics can learn to respect what they once mocked. This was the end of the story. But the beginning of a new era of unity.